about us. It has a lot to do with every other ethnic group, including the West. Everything we are doing is to save life. It is not just to save the life of the Biafran people. It is also to save the West. The fight we are fighting today, the battle we are embarking in, is also to save the West. But they will continue to pretend. They will continue to ignore. But no matter how they pretend, the truth must come to light. And we will make sure that the truth is revealed. And that is our duty here. Our duty is to always expose the truth. That truth they don't want you to hear. That truth they don't want anybody to speak. We will continue to speak it. That truth that made them to remove Mazi Simon Ekpa so that he cannot be speaking. So that Mazi Simon cannot be bringing that war, that jihad war they are presenting and bringing against Nigeria. The secret they are trying to hand over the terrorists, hand over Nigeria to the terrorists. Mazi Simon Ekpa exposed it and they can't bear it. They took him away. But we will not allow them to silence his voice. That is why we come here today. And we will continue to come. To bring those messages that Mazi Simon Ekpa have preached, those revelations, we are revising. Even if you have not heard it before, I know of us have a very short memory. Many of us, we have a very short memory. We hardly remember. So we will be going back to bring back all those informations. We will throw it back at you so that you remember. These were the informations Mazi Simon Ekpa was delivering, and they said it was inciting. Something that the conventional media refused to do, that they are supposed to do. International media refused to do, that they are supposed to do. Every single information we say is based on facts, videos that are coming from even the conventional media. But nobody wants to take an action. They want a genocidal act to complete before now they will come and act. No, they want to confirm that yes, genocide has been. They want millions of Biafrans again to lose their life. Only then and then they will not confirm, oh, there is genocide in Biafra land, it must stop now. But now that it is time of prevention, they are not making any attempt to prevent genocide from happening. No government in the world is taking a step to prevent this genocide, to stop it. They want to wait until when it is completed, cycle is completed. Then they will not complain. Just like they did in Rwanda. They were watching why the Rwanda issue was coming out. Gradually. They waited until thousands of people lost their life. Only then they came in. The same thing happened in Kosovo. They waited until millions lost their lives. In so many other places, they will always wait until when there is a massive loss of life before they will come in. But in the case of Biafra, we will not wait. Mazi Nnamdi said, we are not going to wait until that. Just like our brother Cyprian Ekwensi said during the time of the Civil War. When he was interviewed, Cyprian Ekwensi said, what was happening is genocide. You want us to wait to fold our hands and tie our hands at the back and millions will die before you will now come and confirm the genocide. You want the Biafrans to wait until when they are all exterminated, then you come and write a book about genocide at them. You write a book about them on genocide. But at the time of prevention, you're not preventing it. Genocide is already going on. But they are waiting to write a book, write a story about it. That is why they're not reporting it. And Mazi Simon Ekpa came to report it and bring it to the light. What did they do? They stopped him. But it doesn't matter how you stop him. We will make sure that his voice is not silenced. That is why we are going to this evening continue to play his video. I played part of it in the morning. Those who join me in the morning will see the part I played. And I'm going to play another section now so that we can continue to hear this exposition that was done by our Prime Minister Mazi Simon Ekpa Joko. Let's hear him.
Really? Is it not this election? You can't have it. You can never ever conduct election again in Biafra territory. We can never validate you again. That is what is going on. Deploy all those security, deploy everything to Biafra. Biafra have decided to leave and they are going to declare Biafra very soon. Once we declare it, we defend it. So declare, bring them. I was thinking that you are going to approve 5 million bring to Biafra land. All the 2,000, 3,000, where are they? Where are they? You will deploy 1,000. 1,000 military have been drafted to the southeast. 2,000 have been drafted to the southeast. 3,000 have been drafted to the southeast. In addition to the Bubago, where are they? Where are they? The secret war is over. And all you do is to go and bomb markets, bomb the villages where you have innocent people. If these people, you bomb their market. So I thought you have men. Why are you deploying technology? Are you tired of fighting? You are tired of fighting? You want to go into robot? Bring robot. We deploy our own to counter your robot. We have Biafran scientists too. And believe me, they are not sleeping. We are going to drag everybody into this war. Everybody, from the governors to all of you, we are going to drag all of you, and you must pay the price of killing Biafrans. My own, as a messenger of Biafran people, is to come here and say message according to the way it is. Without peace of war. We are not scared of you. We are not scared of anybody. This war, we are going to fight in finish. We will drag you into it before February. I don't even know whether I will say dragging, because we are already at war. The only thing I have said is that we are going to make it war. So let him deploy all manner of technology. He can't. Nigeria can never defeat Biafra again. I want to make it categorically clear today. And those who are thinking that what we are doing is a joke, or that it is what all these criminals who have done it in IDO before, it's sabotaging Mazi Nnamdi. If you think that that's what we are doing here, you are in for a very long. Believe me. Nigeria can never defeat Biafra again. Not, you can never. In 2023, it is not 5 years' time, it is not even 2 years' time. We are going to finish this thing. You see this thing that our father started, that is so we'll finish it. You see all the prediction, Nigeria will break out. This one, it is all this prediction, and it is a fight for survival. Record me, cut it, send it to ICC, send it to UN, send it to everywhere. This fight, I know my right, and I am fighting it with everything in me. And you can't stop me. You can't. You can't.
After the fall of Kabul, you were on this program and you correctly forecast that the Taliban knew where Al-Qaeda's leader was inside Afghanistan.
Right.
So I'm wondering what your thought is about where the emerging terror threat is now.
So one of the major affiliates of Al-Qaeda is called Al-Qaeda in the Indian subcontinent. The leader of that group, the deputy of that group, and the top recruiter of that group are today in Afghanistan. So Al-Qaeda is a problem that needs to be watched in Afghanistan. The bigger problem in Afghanistan at the moment is ISIS. And ISIS, almost weekly attacks inside Afghanistan. The biggest word is that they are increasingly recruiting from neighboring countries. And those individuals, particularly Tajikistan, those individuals are coming in where they're getting training from ISIS. And the concern is that they might leave Afghanistan, go back to their home countries, and conduct attacks against Western interests and embassies. The bigger terrorism problem is actually in Africa, all the way from Somalia, all the way to West Africa, where you've got both Al-Qaeda affiliates and you've got ISIS affiliates. They have controlled huge swaths of territory. They've conducted primarily local attacks so far, but at some point, Western embassies, Western embassies in both Africa and possibly in Europe could become targets. And if we're going to make a prediction for 2023, I'd say we're going to see a terrorist attack against a Western interest somewhere in the world.
Fellow Nigeria, in search of excellence for Africa, my mission remains to create awareness, advance practical solutions, and transform mindsets via case studies. Together, let's midwife deliverance for our race, country, and continent. Please share this. I am Dr. Israel Terrorism. Thank you. In 2001, US-led forces overthrew the Taliban-led Afghan government following the 9/11 attacks led by the Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden. For the next 20 years, the US and allies enforced democratic ideals, built up Afghan security forces, and provided operational air cover. The Taliban continued to attack. Now, eventually, under President Trump, the US promised to pull out if Taliban agreed to stop attacks and hosting terrorist groups. Today, the Taliban militants have declared Islamic Emirate of Afghanistan and overrun most of the country at lightning speed with little or no resistance from the 300,000 US-trained and heavily equipped Afghan forces. US General
after the fall of Kabul, you were on this program and you correctly forecast that the Taliban knew where Al-Qaeda's leader was inside Afghanistan. So I'm wondering what your thought is about where the emerging terror threat is now.
So one of the major affiliates of Al-Qaeda is called Al-Qaeda in the Indian subcontinent. The leader of that group, the deputy of that group, and the top recruiter of that group are today in Afghanistan. So Al-Qaeda is a problem that needs to be watched in Afghanistan. The bigger problem in Afghanistan at the moment is ISIS. And ISIS almost weekly attacks inside Afghanistan.
There'll be many postmortems on this topic, but right now, it's not that time.
It is believed the Afghan soldiers, though diehards, had unquenchable allegiance to jihadist ideologies practiced by Taliban. There were Afghan soldiers by day, Taliban at heart, and Taliban at night.
And you correctly forecast that the Taliban knew where Al-Qaeda's leader was inside Afghanistan. So I'm wondering what your thought is about where the emerging terror threat is now.
So one of the major affiliates of Al-Qaeda is called Al-Qaeda in the Indian subcontinent. The leader of that group, the deputy of that group, and the top recruiter of that group are today in Afghanistan. So Al-Qaeda is a problem that needs to be watched in Afghanistan. The bigger problem in Afghanistan at the moment is ISIS. And ISIS almost weekly attacks inside Afghanistan. The biggest word is that they are increasingly recruiting from neighboring countries. And those individuals, particularly Tajikistan, those individuals are coming in where they're getting training from ISIS. And the concern is that they might leave Afghanistan, go back to their home countries, and conduct attacks against Western interests and embassies. The bigger terrorism problem is actually in Africa, all the way from Somalia, all the way to West Africa, where you've got both Al-Qaeda affiliates and
Taliban
ISIS
at heart
affiliates.
and Taliban at night. A situation that suggests currently exists in Nigeria too.
Al-Qaeda affiliates and you've got ISIS affiliates. They have controlled huge swaths of territory. The bigger terrorism problem is actually in Africa, all the way from Somalia, all the way to West Africa, where you've got both Al-Qaeda affiliates and you've got ISIS affiliates.
A situation that suggests currently exists in Nigeria too. So Afghanistan was simply handed over to the mullahs to govern, based on their shared jihadist ideological leaning. The south and middle belt of Nigeria should wake up with urgency. The Afghan situation is cooking fast in Nigeria today. Afghanistan is number one on global terrorism
West Africa,
list. Nigerians.
Both Al-Qaeda affiliates and you've got ISIS affiliates. They have controlled huge swaths of territory. They've conducted primarily local attacks so far, but at some point, Western embassies, it's against Western interests, think embassies. The bigger terrorism problem is actually in Africa, all the way from Somalia, all the way to West Africa, where you've got both Al-Qaeda affiliates and you've got ISIS affiliates. They have controlled huge swaths of territory. They've conducted primarily local attacks so far, but at some point, Western embassies, Western military bases in both Africa and possibly in Europe could become targets. And if we're going to make a prediction for 2023, I'd say we're going to see a terrorist attack against a Western interest somewhere in the world.
It's sobering. It's a reminder that declaring victory was too early.
Terrorism has always waxed and waned. It has always gone up and down, and I think it's starting to bounce back again.
They're willing to cooperate because of that, because they know each other, because there's some tribal ties and engagements that allow them to work together, whereas in other parts of the world they have different objectives and a little bit different view, and so they tend to bring Islamic State and Al-Qaeda into conflict. Here, they're able to, and that's what an important purpose in mind. I think long term, we don't know when this will happen, but long term they want to establish themselves, they want to establish their government. They are willing, we know they have not only the desire, but the will to attack the United States and the West. So if we don't help them, if we're unable to disrupt their efforts, and you give them that saving, give them the opportunity to develop their external operations, to develop their capabilities. Then you combine that with what I believe they're trying to do, find a source of reliable income that they can establish that through either kidnap or ransom, what they're doing now. They can get access to the gold mines that are from the region, and then they can start accessing the smuggling networks that run north to south from the Gulf of Guinea up to the Mediterranean that have been there for centuries. And if they can start to co-opt those and use that for a reliable source of income, you've got the ingredients for something that could be quite bad. We have to watch this. We don't know. It's not there yet. There's not a direct threat to the U.S. right now or to the West, but it's very destabilizing to the region. And I believe that if it's left unchecked, it could very easily develop into a greater threat to the West and the United States. We see that this has been very deliberate. So they've been working on this for a while. So they have gone out, they being Al-Qaeda affiliates and others, to engage with key leaders in key locations and start to recruit early. And then that allows them to see the ground. And so as they then move to areas, they have some presence already. And we know they're active throughout the region. Al-Qaeda's been active here since pre-9/11. They've obviously moved to Afghanistan. They're coming back to this region. And I think they've got quite a network that we just don't have the visibility on. So there's more underneath the surface than many real things. They're able to do that. I think the other piece of what moves so quickly is there's some people that feel isolated, separated from the government. We have to work on governance. Al-Qaeda, whether we agree with it or not, brings some level of justice to many of these areas and some level of services that aren't provided by central governments. And they provide some representation to people who are minority groups that are not, they don't feel part of the larger communities such as the Fulani or the Tuareg. And so you put that together and it creates the conditions that allow them to rapidly move. What are the key elements that the United States brings? What is the expertise? What is the intelligence sharing? What is the unique capabilities that we bring and engage those at the right level? We can have an outsized effect to a very small presence. We don't have to have a large troop presence in order to have that enabling effect. So instead of worrying about what is the size of the presence, I think we should look at what is the appropriate engagement across the government from all levels, from State Department, aid, and then as well as the military does.
Right. Having listened to that, I'm going to now bring to you a different, let me also bring this particular video to remind you, to remind Biafrans, to remind the Fulani Caliphate about the revolution of the Obadia, Dr. Obadia Lafia, former deputy governor. And so this is happening, and for many of them have actually forgot what Obadia Lafia said. So let us go there and listen to this particular revelation.
Campaign targeting community, which has been going since January, and these 20 people were killed within a 24-hour period, 19 and 20th of July, in attacks by armed assailants of Fulani ethnic communities in southern Kaduna State. End of quote. That is a report from a particular religious group. So it shows the kind of coloration the crisis in southern Kaduna, has taken. So many of them. A statement by President Muhammadu Buhari's media aide, Kanu about 3 weeks ago, to be precise, July 21st, came out condemning the attacks. It was made known to the public, and he said the statement reads, "Problem in southern Kaduna is an evil combination. Of politically motivated banditry, revenge, killings, and mutual violence by criminal gangs acting on ethnic and religious grounds." So you see what I'm saying now? So many angles. Let's get down to business this morning. And let me bring up Dr. Obadiah Lafia, former Deputy Governor, Central Bank of Nigeria. He's also an astute politician. He joins me, a stakeholder from Southern Kaduna, joins me this morning on Skype. Dr. Obadiah, a very lovely morning to you.
Well, hello, good morning to our listeners, and good morning to you. It's a great honor and pleasure to be here.
It's good to have you, sir. Let's get down to business, really. Can you give us a brief chronicle of how it all started in Southern Kaduna? You're a stakeholder there. Just a brief chronicling of how the entire thing started, the crisis in Southern Kaduna.
Well, thank you so very much again. Let me just set my cards on the table. I was born in a small, beautiful village called Randa, it's a mission settlement, ancient village in southern Kaduna, in Sanga local government, to be precise. It lies at the tip.
As the colonization and Islamization of Nigeria continues, when we talk, they tell you to come to Nigeria. This man talked and they assassinated him. He talked and they killed him. So whenever you want to talk, they will tell you to come to Nigeria and talk, because that is their killing ground. And that is why some of us who have found ourselves in so many places in exile can fight this particular terrorist government from exile. We are going to fight our freedom from exile. And we are going to get this freedom from exile. When we started this whole thing, we told the people that we will bring Biafra from diaspora. Some people did not know what we saw. You didn't know what we have seen then. When we were telling you that Biafra, we are going to bring it from diaspora, you don't know. It is happening today. We are going to fight Nigeria from afar, and we are defeating them already. We are defeating them. We will fight them, we will defeat them. And it is going to, everything will end this year. Believe me. This man that is talking here, they killed him. He was a prominent Nigerian who rose up to the position of the deputy governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. He spoke the truth. They killed him. He's not the only one. Everybody that has ever dared to challenge and speak truth in Nigeria has been killed. And he's one of them, a very prominent one. His people was being killed in Southern Kaduna. He went on to investigate, find something, and say something, and he was killed. Now, most of the people that knows what he knows, all of them are now scared. They can't talk again. You understand it now? That is why you can write everything in this world. Nobody is going to listen to you. If you like, write to America now. Write to Joe Biden now. Tell Joe Biden that Simon Ekpa is inciting violence in Nigeria. It is not inciting violence. I'm defending my people and at the same time fighting for my freedom. Joe Biden will not respond to you. I know my right. It is not me that say you should not know your right. If you cannot talk the way I'm talking, it's your business. I'm saying because the time has come. So if you tell me to come to Nigeria, this is what you are inviting me to Nigeria to do. That's why some of them are crying. Go Finland. Finland, oh, deport him, repatriate him, oh, this, that. And then you see where they are twisting something that faceless people wrote. People that are not even, that cannot even represent their family in any way. They will come and say, oh, Finland, Igbo community wrote, Igbo community wrote. Wrote what? You know, if somebody is distancing himself from Simon Ekpa, am I part of you before? I do not know why somebody would distance himself from Simon Ekpa. They say, Igbo, you know, distance here, Igbo community. This I have said there is nothing like Igbo community. How can something that doesn't exist distance itself from me? It doesn't exist. I would have not, you know, apart from the fact that I am going to play over 2 hours of the conversation we had in the meeting. Because we have 2 hours, over 2 hours of the conversation, where the shouting and the questions are responded to the questions and all that. I'm going to bring it to the media and I'm going to release the audio. People will enjoy themselves as they listen to how the so-called Igbo community had their meeting. And you know, you can now listen to where did they arrive and distancing themselves from Simon Ekpa. They can't do the half of things I have done in the past. When I was the chairman of Igbo Union Finland, I banned Biafra flag in Igbo where we are doing Yam Festival. Can they do it? That was when Nigeria can have more issue. I banned Biafra flag from, you know, all these people you see today that are, you know, all these criminals. I said, you don't dare bring Biafra flag to where Igbo people are doing Yam Festival. And nobody dare do that. Some of them that are writing this thing today were part of those who decided not to come to Igbo Union Yam Festival because of, I said, Biafra flag must not be brought to the hall. Some of them that are shouting, oh, yeah, Obi, beat Obi, oh, beat Obi. They were the one who were fighting me. That I said, why should I say they should not bring Biafra flag? They were doing Biafra then. I was one Nigerian. So, you know, when I look at all these things, I have been there. If I am Biafra today, fighting for Biafra, which is the right thing to do, who are those people? Have they served Nigeria like me? Who knows them in Nigeria? What have they done for Nigeria? They have done nothing. I have served Nigeria. I have served immigration, Nigeria immigration. I have served Nigeria immigration. How many of you know that? You don't know now. It's only the one I tell you, you will know. As you see me, I have served Nigerian immigration in sport. So what have they done for Nigeria? These people have done nothing. They have suffered. They have absolutely contributed absolutely nothing to Nigeria. So what do they know about Nigeria? They have, you know. So when I look at these people, you want to say you distance yourself from someone. I have done worse than you. I have done worse because I was the only person that banned Biafra flag from entering Igbo Union the Yam Festival in Finland. So if you come and say you distance yourself, it is not up to what I have done. But what is Simon Ekpa today? I am here fighting for Biafra because that is the right thing to do. So when you hear them say, oh, when the report came, we look at his report from Finland. If you don't want this like this criminal in Kuwait, you know, they call Mohammed Abbas. Oh, if you look at the report we get from Finland, it is bad. It is this, it is that. And then they don't know. Some people knows that when Mazi and Kanu was protesting in the street of London for Nigeria. So somebody will come today and tell me, tell them, when you hear them say some Igbo community, that is nothing like Igbo community, tell them, I was the only history of Igbo Union. I don't think it has happened anywhere in the world. I was the only person in the history of Igbo Union that banned the Biafra flag from entering where Igbo people are celebrating something. I want you to show me any person that have done it anywhere in the world. I did it. It is not like bragging, but it is what has happened for history to happen. If there is no event, there will be no history. All these things will go down in the history of Biafra. So what can they do? What is it that somebody is going to do today that I have not done even worse than that? But that is not even the problem. The problem is that when you have a meeting with somebody and the meeting is supposed to be a secret, it's supposed to remain secret. But because they have said, they have released a statement that is not the agreement of the people that were part of the meeting, we are going to release the pictures of everybody that we can lay our hand on. Those who were part of the meeting, all your pictures will be on social media. I am going to make sure that in these 2 hours of voice, I will put all your pictures there so that Biafra can know who you are. Because all of you are faceless. Nobody knows who is Kisilochi. Nobody knows Obi West. Nobody knows all the people that were part of that meeting. Your faces, except I don't have access to your picture, and your picture will not be there. I will put your picture for Biafra people on ground to know you. That is what I'm going to do. So you think you are fighting someone else? You are not fighting someone else. You are fighting against Biafra people. And many of them are back home. So your pictures will be there so that Nigeria will praise you and give you an award for releasing a stupid statement without logo, without address, ordinary paper. And then they are going to see Finland. You can imagine a whole Finland.
And we have saddles between Nasarawa and Plateau State. We're very right at the border. But actually, I didn't grow up there. I grew up in Nasarawa State because my father was a missionary, a pastor, and evangelist.
Right.
And he traveled quite a lot, so ended up settling there. So I didn't really grow up at home, I put it that way. That's number one. So that gives me some kind of emotional attachment to be able to see things clearly and objectively. There, my uncle really grew up there. Number two, part of my family are Muslims.
Okay.
Uncles, aunties. You know, in fact, the king of our area, in a predominantly 99% Christian area, is a Muslim. And he's my aunt, the first cousin of my mother. And I regard them as family. So I can't afford to play the Islamophobia card. That's for me. So I'm clear that it gives me a objective perspective from which to analyze what is happening. Immediate crisis has been going on for the last 2 years. The opening salvo was the killing of the Adara King in 2018. There had been some killings in his kingdom and in Kachia area. And, you know, tensions had been rising. So the governor, he sought audience with the governor of Kaduna State, Malam Nasir El-Rufai.
Right.
He went there to see him. They had a good meeting, presumably. And on his way back with his wife and driver, they were waylaid on the highway where they were all abducted. The driver was allowed to go. The bandits raped his wife. The wife, Majesty the King, they raped her in front of him for setting her off. And after collecting a ransom of about 10 million on the promise that they were going to release him, he was brutally assassinated. It did not stop.
The same thing they brought to Biafra land, people are doing in Biafra land today, was happening in Kaduna. This is what this is playing here.
Yeah. When the of Adara land trading, the police came, rounded them up, and put them in prison for about 8 years with no real charges or trials. They were eventually released. Meanwhile, attacks were incessant, they were continuous. It was a case of continuous pounding of an unarmed and defenseless people. And it just continued to spread from Adara land to other villages, and Manchok, Kapgoro, very recently, Kurmin Masara, Chakwai Isa, Ataka Mawe, Fadal Atakal, Lung Duga, Zangon Katav, Magama, Zamando, the list goes on and on. The figures are not reliable, but it is clear we are talking of a very serious and well calculated and well strategized, killings.
What caused these killings, Dr. Obada?
That amount to genocide.
What could have caused this? What could have caused these particular killings that you've enumerated? What is the cause? Do you have an idea?
Well, again, let me just also clear one fact that in the 80s and 90s, you asked me for the immediate causes, which the immediate, process of killings, which I explained. But it goes as far back as the 80s and 90s. You may have heard of the infamous Zangon Kataf killings.
That's right.
In which the settlers, Zango means a settlement. And ancient times, the Hausa people who were itinerant traders used to pass through there. They would settle there and, water their camels and their donkeys, and then proceed on whatever journeys they were going to. And then eventually became a kind of more permanent settlement for the Hausa Fulani community. Hence, it is Zangon Kataf, in Kataf land. Then they began to demand